Hey everyone, this is Mike, and today is going to be somewhat of a follow-up video to the last one that I made. If you haven't seen it, I talked about the ninja changes that happened in the patches following Endwalker's release, and in the second half of the video I talked about some raid buff stuff, because with the trick attack change, we've now lost our last non-2-minute raid buff in the game, outside of Astrologian cards I guess, but those only affect one player, so the last party-wide buff, I guess I'll call it. In that video, I went on about how the 1-minute burst window optimization used to be pretty important for those that were into optimization, and that with this change that was no longer the case. Now, there were some people that said that it just didn't really make sense that you had to learn how to optimize around the 1-minute timer just on the chance that you were playing with a ninja in the party, and I completely agree with that. In our current game state, it just didn't really make sense, and that is why I'm making today's video. I want to go down memory lane to compare the old raid buff stuff to the new and kind of go into why a lot of players are so used to playing around that 1-minute timer and why it feels really weird not having to do that anymore. So the way raid buffs are currently in Endwalker is really straightforward. Every 2 minutes you have raid buffs and that's it. During the opener you will also have potions and they will be ready again when the 6-minute raid buff window comes along. Those are all of the timers that you are working with right now, but pre-Endwalker that wasn't really the case, and that is also the reason why playing around a 1-minute timer was a lot more important. Back then, we used to have 4 different raid buff timings. Trick Attack was our only 1-minute buff, Brotherhood, which used to be 90 seconds, although unless you were a 90-second job, you wouldn't really care about this one too much because of the odd timing. You would just care about the next time it came around, which would be at the 3-minute mark. Then there were 2-minute buffs, Chain and Embolden for example, and then we also had 3-minute buffs, Battle Voice or Battle Litany, again just to name a few. So as you can see, every time the 1-minute window would roll around, there would almost always be something for you to play around, even if we were to take Ninja out of the equation. So in the opener we have everything, all raid buffs and potions. 1 minute we would only have our Ninja, if you had one. 2 minutes is where you have your 2-minute raid buffs again. 3 minutes is where the 3-minute raid buffs are back plus a monk if you were to have one. 4 minutes is again your 2-minute buffs. 5 minutes would only have your ninja, again if you have one. And then at 6 minutes you would have everything again together with your potions. And that is also why a lot of people refer to the 6-minute window as your reopener, because not only do you have all of your raid buffs ready, you will also have your potions and you will also have your full burst again. Now I do know that in Endwalker a lot of jobs were streamlined to be 1 or 2 minute classes, but if I were to take Gunbreaker as an example, while they do have a 1-minute burst window, they're technically a 3-minute job because of Bloodfest. So at 6 minutes is where their biggest burst would align with raid buffs again, because it comes in the opener, then at 3 minutes, and then at 6 minutes again, and at 3 minutes we currently don't have any raid buffs, so 6 minutes is where it aligns with raid buffs again, and also potions, so reopener. That's kind of why we used to call it like that. So that's how things used to be. Different raid buffs would occur at different timings in a fight, and if you wanted to make use of as many of them as possible, then you'd want to learn to play around a 1-minute window. Going into Endwalker, we still did the same thing, as Trick Attack was still there, but now that that is gone, we don't have to do that anymore. Now we'll only be focused on the 2-minute burst timings, but that also doesn't really change anything as we were already doing that anyways. All this means is that unless you have your own personal 1-minute buff, like Ninja, Monk or Gunbreaker just to give some examples, then you can now chill for 2 minutes before you have to make sure that everything is ready for the next raid buff window. I know that a lot of people will prefer this, but I also know that a lot won't. I don't really know on which side I stand right now. On one hand, I enjoy just playing my job well and being able to clear the difficult fights in the game like Week 1 Savage or our new ultimate that's coming out without paying too much attention to what is optimal. Like for example, if you have a bard in your party, then for most jobs it's going to be optimal to use your potion at the 2-minute mark instead of in the opener. But when I'm progging a fight, I'll be more focused on the mechanics rather than the raid buff stuff. But on the other hand, when me and my static did some fight optimization for this tier, then it is fun knowing where it's best to use your raid buffs and when to burst, etc. And with everything being 2 minutes now, it does take away from that a little bit. So I can see both sides of the argument, and I don't really think that either side is wrong for either liking or disliking what Square decided to do. but that's just my 2 cents. What do you think about these raid buff changes that have happened going into Endwalker? Do you prefer the way things are right now, with just having to play around your 2-minute window and not having to worry about anything else? Or did you prefer optimizing around multiple different raid buff timings, like we used to do back in the day? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. And with that, I want to thank you for watching, I want to thank my Patreons for their support, and I'll see you in the next one.